Good morning and welcome to the Motormouth Morning Drive. I'm Niall Motormouth Jenkins. This is where we talk about cars, trucks, maintenance, and ownership, and everything that keeps you moving down the road. Whether you're driving a brand new vehicle or something with a whole lot of miles under its belt, there's always something to learn. So grab your coffee, buckle up, and let's get this engine started. The Motormouth Morning Drive starts right now. Good morning, friends. Welcome to Motormouth's Morning Drive. If you're joining us for the very first time, we really enjoy our first-time listeners. So welcome to you aboard the Motormouth community. Yeah, there's lots of things happening, and now with more ways to watch, listen, and engage. So come and join us for the podcast, Motormouth's Morning Drive, Monday through Saturday. Friday is Fun Friday. That's where we just kind of banter and toss some things around, eat some donuts, have some fresh coffee, 99.9% octane boost, not a penny less, of course. And Friday, we begin to prepare for Saturday's Q&A, questions and answers. So to bring you up to speed, friends that are joining us for the very first time, need your questions in the hopper by noontime. Noontime on Fridays. That's the drill. Okay, if I have it in the hopper by noon on Fridays, there's a good chance your email will be selected. So fellas, no pressure, but the ladies are putting some fantastic questions out each and every Saturday so far. So I'm not sure where you guys are, but I'm not going to poke and prod, but you know what you need to do. The ladies are owning Saturday's Q&A session. So I cover 3 questions on Saturdays, and I unpack them in their entirety. And what I generally look for is 3 questions that kind of tie in together with some kind of a theme, a general theme. And it's so far unreal. It's been working every single Saturday. So thanks for joining us. We're going to continue with our series today, Fall Vehicle Maintenance, one nugget at a time. So instead of me giving you 5 things and spending a little time on each one, I thought it might be best, let's back up the bus, pick out the very top number 1 area of weakness on our automobiles. And it doesn't matter whether it's your car, a transport truck, a bulldozer. Everything needs maintenance, and every single piece of equipment, and your car is a piece of equipment, needs maintenance. So these talking heads, suits and ties that have been trying to brainwash us all into the maintenance-free garbage, it's just that. We need to bag that up, take it to the curb one last time, and send it off to the landfill. Exactly, because there's no such thing as maintenance-free on anything, because here's the deal. It's maintenance-free until it ain't. Yeah, that would be my question for these talking heads. It's maintenance-free till it ain't. So next time you're booking a flight on a flying beer can with wings, would you feel confident wondering, has it had its maintenance, Mr. Captain Flying Guy? Can I see the reports? Yeah, don't get me started. You know, something popped into my head today, and it just, this morning as I was preparing, it's just like, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I've been following one of the most tragic airplane crashes of recent that didn't need to happen. And why? Why? What's the common denominator at the end of it? And I've been watching it to the point where they finally showed what failed that brought that aircraft down. And I'm looking at it, and there's 3 or 4 reports on it that, you know, a certain component is cracked and broken. But it was going to cost a lot of money to replace that component. So the maintenance-free talking heads decided that, they needed the money to go to the cottage or, their azimuth yacht at their 16,000 square foot summer home, and that big component could be just signed off on, right? Yeah, because the golf, yeah, the new golf card and this year's golf package and the fees are just astronomical. We're just going to have to put that off to the side. So that's what I call about somebody calling maintenance that needs to be done, and it doesn't get done, and it costs people in the air and on the ground their lives. Those people, in my opinion, should be changing in their suits into another suit, and they're never coming home for dinner for quite some time. So the maintenance-free thing, it doesn't work. And that goes for everything, whether it's a train, whether it's a cruise ship, whether it's a bulldozer, whether it's a helicopter, whether it's a flying beer can with wings on it, a train, it all needs maintenance, friends. Tell me how your car is any different from any of those means of transportation I just mentioned. I worked for the Mack Trucks of Canada and Peterbilt of Ontario. These things are behemoth machines. And to think that as a tech, would make a decision like that and go, well, that's going to cost you a lot of money. You might want to put that off for a while. That's a freaking battering ram with wheels on it. And friends, I just want to say is you're one of those dudes or dudettes flying in and out of traffic around these great big behemoths. They will squash you like a bug, and they won't even know they went over top of you because your vehicle, the sheet metal is so thin it only has one side. So it's going to squash you like a sheet of Reynolds aluminum wrap. Yeah, just like yesterday, wrapping up some potatoes to go on the barbecue. And I'm thinking, wow, cars are almost built like this now. Yeah, I don't want one of those. I like the older vehicles. I feel safer in the older vehicles because I have some meat around me. So anyways, I say all that to say this. Maintenance. You can buy into that idea that everything is maintenance free till it ain't. And that moment that it ain't is going to cost you. And that's why I chose and selected the cooling system revival. That's the topic that I created a series on because this is the area where it all comes together or it doesn't. So if there's any areas of weakness in your vehicle's cooling system and you're believing that, as long as it starts and it runs and you put gas in it, everything is okay, it's not true. Because maintenance is maintenance no matter what type of transportation you're dealing with. But let me say this. If it were a flying beer can with wings, would you, here's the question I'm going to leave with you around the water cooler today, would you buy in to the talking heads that tell you, oh, don't worry about it, it's all maintenance free at 32,000 or 42,000 miles above the Earth's crust? It's all maintenance free. It's all good. Yeah. You never have to do anything to it. Just take her out. Go for a fly. How would you feel about that? Would you be confident? And that's the second part of the question for today, for you to point to ponder, is would you feel confident enough in those talking heads that have sucked some brains out with a dollar store turkey baster into believing that everything is maintenance free? All you got to do is buy it, make all the payments, she's all yours, and you never have to do anything to it. If you were in a flying beer can with wings, would you buy into that? That's the question I'm going to leave you to ponder. Would you? Would you feel confident enough that what they're telling you is the truth, that it's maintenance free? All right, let's get into it. If you are in the drive-through queue, we'll give you a couple of seconds to continue to put your on-the-road package together, and we'll have a swiggy together this morning. So newbies, get your beverage. We have a 3, 2, 1 countdown. We have a swiggy. together each and every morning to get our day started. We'll have our daily weather report coming up. I've had a little sneak preview because I need to get a car cover washed for a vehicle that's in my care. It's filthy dirty. I mean, I left it on while it was raining out the other day, and then I pulled it off while it was wet, and the amount of dirt that was on the car underneath was like, wow, that's gross. And so if you're one of those people, if you have a vehicle outside, your summer car, and you got the dust, I call it the dust cover, because unless it's completely waterproof inside and out, when that thing gets wet, you got to take it off. It'll blister and cloud the clear coat on the paint. And then you have a problem. That thing needs to be washed on a regular basis. I'm just saying. Because what happens is it traps a ton of dust, and that cover is kind of twitching on the car. It's sanding it for you. I'm just telling you. I thought I would just mention that as a little tidbit for those who are car enthusiasts, and you have your summer car outside sometimes with that cover on. You want to make sure that cover is spotless. So I've got to get this cover to the laundry house and get into the big machine, because this thing is a behemoth cover, and it needs to be washed. And hopefully we got some sunshine today and a little bit of wind to get this thing dried out and back on the car. So anyways, that's just a side note. Don't let that happen to you, because I've seen that happen. Covers are nice, but if they're dirty, they'll etch the car. They will etch the car. So be careful with that. Cooling system revival. We're going to crack the door open a little bit further this morning with our fall vehicle maintenance, one nugget at a time. And cooling system is the number one system that is neglected the most as far as maintenance goes. And number two, when that system goes down and it super overheats your engine, you might as well say, honey, I think the car is done. And if you want to see what happens when that happens, watch our series on the 97 Jeep TJ Wrangler that we rescued from the junkyard, from the crusher. That's what the final blow was that put it there. Catastrophic cooling system failure. Exactly. You're going to want to take a look at that, because it will make your eyes wide open. Then you'll really get a bird's eye view of that's what happens. Yeah, it's not an if, folks. It's a when. It's not an if, it's a when. So we're going to talk about today. Yesterday, if you missed it, we unpacked the radiator. Yeah, yesterday we talked tech talk about radiators, and we just filmed last week, and that is going to air this week. The dissecting of a cross-flow radiator out of the new series we started on our YouTube channel with the 1992 Volkswagen Golf Cabriolet Carmen series from California. It's been tucked away since 2008. And you'll have to listen to the series from the beginning, because you'll get the backstory on that car. And I've started with the cooling system on the list. So the vehicle's been evaluated. What is it going to take to get it back out on the road? Because that's where it deserves to be. And what do we got to do to make it 100% reliable? So that's the series. We'll be showing you step by step and sharing our list with you on the things that we've evaluated that the vehicle needs to make it top drawer and get it back out there. And you'll be surprised, it's not going to break the bank either. Yeah, we're not restoring it. We're reviving it. There's the difference. Restoration versus revival. That's the series on the 97 Jeep TJ Wrangler. And this is now another one. Pulled this one out of storage, and it's been sitting there since 2008. So do the math. That's the last time it was stickered in the United States of America, was 2008, and that was the year that I picked that up. And it was going to be a special gift for a special someone, but you'll have to watch the introductory video to get all the backstory. So cooling system it will take your vehicle out in a stinking heartbeat. So again, if you're flying around in a beer can with wings on it, would you feel confident? All the talking heads saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's maintenance free." Would you feel solid on that? Well, put it in my email, motormouth.jenkins@gmail.com. Your thoughts on that? And what if it were a helicopter? You know, you bought that puppy brand new. You got to pay it off for 7 years. And the salesperson is just saying, no, you don't need to worry about the rotor. That's fine. It's lifetime warranty. Yeah, my point would be, if the rotor on the helicopter fails, sales guy in a tie, would I possibly survive the crash to claim the warranty on the failed rotor? Do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Is that the time? Yeah, exactly. All right, on 3, 2, 1, let's have our swiggy this morning and get the morning weather taken care of. But first and foremost, something that's extremely important is without our program partners, we're not monetized yet. So, we have to have program partners that are amazing, that are supporting us and just covering our needs to keep the program going. I notice I didn't say paycheck because there isn't one. We're just keeping the lights on, keeping things rolling, and that's where you come in. We need your support, and at the end of the program, I'll let you know how you can do that very, very simply. Actually, 5 simple things that you could do for Skippy and I and keep us rolling. So the new series is rolling out. The dissection of the radiator, you'll get a chance to see that this week. So today is Tuesday. 2 new videos roll out today and another one on Friday. So we put 3 brand new videos out every single week. And we've got the series rolling on the 92 Golf Cabriolet, Volkswagen Cabriolet, in order. So everything is running in order as we're doing the work. And next week, Monday, when we're filming, I've got the list that we're going to share with you of the evaluation, everything that needs to be done to make it tight and right, to hit the roadway, because that's where it belongs. And we can make it 100% reliable, but not, I didn't say it because it's not true. It's not maintenance free. Just want to make that absolutely clear. Clear as mud. So thank you to City Auto Sales and Leasing, providing us with low mileage quality vehicles at fair prices, treating us with nothing less than honesty and integrity. And that's what makes Earl and Louise Grant an amazing couple. Earl, the car guy, I'll tell you, he is an enthusiast, and they don't push, pull, and drag any junk to their car lot. They're Greater Toronto Area's premier pre-owned auto store. And I'll tell you, Earl and Louise Grant will make sure that you have an amazing, amazing vehicle purchasing experience. So thank you to Earl and Louise for providing this morning's morning swiggy. And here's how we do it. We count it down, 3, 2, and 1. You ready? 3, 2, and 1. I got this now, let me tell you, friends. It's taken me a while, but I've got my morning herbal beverage that deals with cortisol, those dirty rats. That's a good one. That's a keeper right there. I've got this recipe down now. If you want me to share that with you, I'd be happy to do that. Just send me an email. Because the thing is, we shouldn't be drinking coffee for 1 hour after we wake up, because those cortisol things make us fatter than the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Especially as you get older. Yeah. Apparently, our body shape changes, according to the men's store. I'm just going to leave it at that. Let's take a look at the daily weather, and then we're going to be talking thermostat today. And this little fella, I call him the Navigator, and we're going to talk about that. And in fact, we just filmed yesterday that portion on the 92 VW Golf Cabriolet Carmen thermostat. I had it right in my hands yesterday on the video. And you'll have to watch that video when it comes out. That will be out next week, Tuesday, in the series. So we're making sure that what we film stays in order so that you can watch the series. We keep the videos 12 to 15 minutes. So that way, we're conscious of your time and we want to give you a portion, not the whole elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's the way we're taking this vehicle and bringing it back to life and making it reliable, is one bite at a time. And we're not stripping the whole car apart, because that's not the way to do it, fellas. You pick on the things in order, and I'll share that with you next week on a video, how I come about making the list on what needs to be done, and then how I organize that list so the vehicle is still mobile and not car down situation. Okay? Because that's the plan. You want to keep it mobile, but you want to get it ready for the road. Oh, today is a better day than yesterday here in the Niagara region and the South Shores of Lake Erie. Thank you to our certified financial planners, Tony Mielli and Larry Tetro, 50 years experience with IG Wealth Management. These guys are two of the best in Canada, and they are very humble. They've been my planners for well over 20 years. And I'll tell you, there's nothing you're going to share with them they haven't seen, heard, or dealt with before. And they're willing to give you an hour of their time to sit, ask questions, lay everything that's troubling you financial-wise on the table. So whether you've got an investment portfolio with a bank somewhere, you're dealing with massive amounts of debt, you don't have an estate plan, and if you got kids and cars and whatnots, you need to get that taken care of. Mortgage, if you need to arrange a mortgage and you want to be treated like a person, you need to meet the ladies in the mortgage department in Winnipeg. They're fantastic, competitive rates. Haven't had a mortgage with a bank for decades now and never going back. They make you feel like you're real, if you know what I'm saying. You're a real person, not just a number. Life insurance, critical illness insurance, all those insurances may seem like an expense till you need them, folks. It's a wise investment. So book in for that hour and a coffee discovery meeting. Lay all the cards on the table. Bring some clarity to your circumstances. Remember, I just said your circumstances. Although things are common, there's things that aren't. And certain situations and circumstances that may be similar, but not. They're different. So put your money away. Book that 1 hour discovery meeting we call the hour and a coffee, and get your questions answered, friends. Don't leave this keeping you up late at night, because you know what? It's about 80% of the population of Canada is about $200 away from going bankrupt. So you're not the only one that's going through that, okay? So don't give up on yourself. I want you to really seriously consider doing that hour discovery meeting and get your questions answered. No more opinion polls. Friends are friends, and this is business that needs to be dealt with by a certified financial planning professional. So take hold of these guys. They're going to be retiring out soon, but they built teams to continue on to be the next foot soldiers. I've been dealing with them with over 20 years. I'm speaking from experience. I know what it's like to be sitting in the middle of your living room with jars of coins you've set aside, because what I used to do at the end of the day, coming home from the shop, empty all the change out of my pocket and put it in a jar. And then when the jar's filled up, I'd start another jar. Sitting in the middle of your living room knowing that you've been dealt the house of cards and one card shifts and you're broke and will never have a credit rating until like age 71 to 79. I'm speaking from experience. And Larry Tetro can tell you that. He was in that boardroom when that had to come out on the table. Was here's what you got. Here's what can happen. And I'm sitting there rolling nickels, dimes, and quarters to have that as the emergency fund to keep the lights and the water and the heat on in 2 properties. So 60 degrees right now. I leave you with that to ponder. And take advantage of that. Don't stay up late at night with the same thing and arguing about it with your spouse. Get that hour and a coffee and get things sorted out, moving in the right direction. I believe in you. You can do it. I've done it, not once, but twice. 60 degrees right now and mostly clear. The wind is making it feel cooler, about 57 degrees. Cloudy conditions from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., folks, in the Niagara region, with partly cloudy conditions expected around noon today. Today's temperature range going to be 60 to 75. Going to feel more like 56 to 75. 0 on the rainometer today. Yesterday we had like 0.05 of an inch. And today we're going to top out at 75. And yesterday's high was 68. I'll tell you, you can feel it. I almost wanted to start the fireplace. And when you come out of that high humidity and you're just standing there and your clothes are dripping off of you, and then we drop down to 68, it's like, did somebody turn the heater off? Anyways, thank you to Niagara Block at 5000 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, building Canada since 1931. All your building supplies, foundational supplies, blocks, bricks, interlocking bricks, angle iron, rebar, all those things to create a solid foundation if you're expanding your home, putting on an addition. Or you just want to beautify your home on the outside with hardscape landscaping materials. There may be a pebble walkway, maybe some nice pretty river rock, maybe an English slab walkway or patio stones, a patio somewhere. Or how about a beautiful backyard space you can call your own hideaway? Call it your very own oasis. That's what they can do. So check in with Kathy, Dave, and Dan Grimo, the next generation. Kathy has a list of contractors that you can count on to estimate, design, build, and finish the job so that you can enjoy the beauty that's awaiting you. That's Niagara Block, 5000 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, 905-356-2221. Well, let's jump in this morning. The thermostat. And I call this, thermostat is the Temperature Navigator. It fails, your engine super overheats. It's that simple. And here's the thing. And I've heard this myself from the talking heads. Oh, you don't need to replace that. It's good for the lifetime of the vehicle. Well, what is the lifetime of a vehicle exactly? You know, I've been in this trade, the automotive trade, for almost 45 years. What can the talking heads really define that term? The life of the vehicle. What is the life of the vehicle? 5 years till the loan expires? 7 if you're way in over your head making $2,200 a month payments on a piece of sheet metal and rubber? I'm just shaking my head thinking about that. No. Man, when I got to a $300 payment, I was losing it. Let me tell you. Yeah, my first vehicle I ever got a loan on was back in the 80s. I was 22 years old at that time. No, I did not have a mullet. It looked like a mullet, but it wasn't a mullet. I want to clarify that. No, it wasn't. And I paid $22,500 for it. It was less than a year old, and the interest rate was 17.93%. Okay, let's park that. Think about that for a little bit. Yeah. Jeep Wrangler JK is going to cost you like $68,000 out the door today, maybe closer to 74, or a Tundra is around 74-ish from what I asked salesman. I said, did they start at about 68,000? Oh, no, you won't get a Tundra for 68,000. I go, what? 68,000 won't buy one? Not a new one. No. You're like more like 74 out the door. Oh. Okay. Next question. Is that the time? Exactly. So friends, What is exactly lifetime warranty? What or lifetime of the vehicle? Somebody sent me that in an email. Motormouth.jenkins@gmail.com, and put a number on that. Exactly how many years is that exactly? Kinda, sorta, maybe. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. It's nonsense. Is a piece of machinery, for Pete's sake. You're not buying a car or a truck or an SUV. You're buying a piece of machinery to perform a duty for you each and every day, whatever that is. Running errands, trading time for money, doing all that for decades at a time. Decades. Not just for a week or so. Decades. It's a piece of machinery. And that's the way I view everything that we have, including the vehicles we send out to fundraisers and to car shows. They're not toys. They're tools. And they're pieces of machinery. And I'll tell you what, they need work all the time. Why? Because they're not on the road every day. They'd sit a lot. And so machinery needs to be working. That's the equipment that lasts quite a while. Is when, all the juices are flowing and it's running at normal operating temperature for hours on end. That's what machinery likes. It doesn't like to be parked and sat and stored away. So if you're saving your car for a rainy day by parking it inside and only driving it once in a while, vehicles with low mileage are high maintenance all the time. They're in a maintenance schedule all of its own called severe service, because things rot off, wear off, seize, and just fall apart for lack of use. So a thermostat, there's no possible way that's going to last the quote, unquote, quotage, lifetime of a vehicle, because we don't know what that is. So the 92 Cabriolet, is that like its lifetime? It's almost 20 years old. Is that it? Is it done now? Absolutely not. There's a ton of car left. Yeah, it's not rotted in the ground or anything. It came from California. Man, I wish I was working on that stuff all the time. That's a sweetheart. You can get everything off. It all comes undone. So the thermostat is tucked away somewhere under the hood on your engine. Everyone got one. And in fact, I got the thermostat out of the 92 Cabriolet, and you got to watch that video when it comes up. That one will load next week. And Skippy did a great job zooming in on the original thermostat I was holding in my hand. And there was just a few pieces of information on that thermostat that definitely identified that was the original thermostat from the day that vehicle was born. So you'll have to watch that video to see what I discovered. And I thought it was really cool. And then somebody walks into the shop and says, "Oh, what do you got there?" I go, the original thermostat from the Cabrio. "Oh, does it still work?" I said, "I don't know really 100% because I've never really run the car that much. I drove it home and I parked it in a hidey spot because it was going to be a gift for somebody. And that's it. And that's the truth. That's it. There's only my pops and I that know that vehicle from day one. Oh, and G-Man. He-Man the G-Man. My good friend at that time who found it and hid it and said, "You got to get over here and get it before anybody sees it. You got to get it out of here." So that's what we did. So it was G-Man, the He-Man, my pops and myself. We got it through Canada Customs into Fort Erie, and I tucked it away in 2008. So that's a part of the backstory. So my answer was, I don't know if it really works. "Oh, are you going to put it back in?" I go, "Absolutely not. It's been in there 20 years. Almost 20, 19 and change. So let's call it 20, just for talking purposes." So, well, why don't you just put it back in, see if it works? I go, that's a lot of effort to get it out. I said, "See that thing hanging underneath there? That's the power steering pump. That all has to come off and out of the way to get to it." So I'm saying all that to say this. And it was miserable to get out of, friends, miserable. But I knew how to approach it because I've been there before on other Volkswagens that I fixed up. I knew how to get after that animal. But if you're doing it at home, you're gonna have quite a time of it if you don't watch the video for me to show you how to stop letting it beat you and just get it out of there. Because thermostats, their job is to hold back the coolant so that the engine's always running at 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, on this 92 Cabriolet, there's options from the factory. 180 degree Fahrenheit or a 195. You can put either or in there, but in Canada, shouldn't and might not want to drive a convertible in the Canadian winters. That I wouldn't advise that, especially knowing what I know about the convertible tops and all the linkages and everything. That's a nightmare. Do we want to get that corroded? No, absolutely not. That would be a nightmare beyond a nightmare, plus a nightmare, plus more nightmare. We don't want to go there. So I looked at the person. I go, well, would you like to just drive it until the engine superheats and then blows up on you, and then what? Or would you like to change it and know that there's a new one in there? The engine would blow up? I go, yeah. It gets superheated, things fly apart inside a motor. That's what happens. Catastrophic damage. That's what that means. So the thermostat's job is to make sure that the engine doesn't overheat. But it's a little valve. And it's constantly opening, closing, partly open, partly closed, fully open, fully closed, to hold the coolant back or let it flow, but to maintain your vehicle's normal engine operating temperature. So if you've got one of those gauges like I have in the 07 FJ, we got a C, a K, a line in the middle on the circle, and then a red spot with an H at the top. Well, where are the numbers? I need to see numbers, not little thingies. So if the needle's at the halfway, what number is that in Fahrenheit? I don't know. I'd have to have a thermal heat gun jump out, point it at the thermostat housing going, oh, we're at like 200. That's running hot. That's bad. And it's not, oh, that's close enough. No, you're running hot. If it's supposed to be 195, it's supposed to be what? The thermostat running the engine at 195 Fahrenheit all the time. Headwind, sub-zero temperatures, wind chill, doesn't matter. Whatever season or country you're in, it can be 130 degrees outside. That thermostat's job is to prevent your engine from getting overheated. It's going to run the engine at 195 and make sure that the cooling fans come on. And your cooling fans come on between 212 and 225 Fahrenheit. Why doesn't it boil over? Because if the antifreeze is mixed 50-50, that's the boil point handles that of the antifreeze. So you're going to need to watch those videos on antifreeze on our YouTube channel. It'll explain all those details. That's why it's important the cooling system's top drawer, because if the antifreeze isn't blended right, that changes the boil point of that coolant and the freeze point. And we're also needing to check for pH balance, acid corrosion level, and alkalinity. Sounds familiar? That's the human body. So your cooling system has to be top drawer all the time. And that little thermostat says, today's the day, honey. I'm not going to fully open. And it closes and it's stuck closed. Remember, I just said the cooling fans come on between 212 Fahrenheit and 225. Water boils at that temperature in between that window. Water boils on your stove between 212 and 225 Fahrenheit. But because it's coolant, the boiling point is higher. Got it? But that doesn't protect you from catastrophic overheating engine failure. No, it doesn't. And that little thermostat is constantly working to keep that engine at 195 no matter what you're doing with that car. So if the thermostat slams shut or gets stuck and it can't get open, then once that cooling fan switch hits 212 to 225, even though the fan's going to come on, the coolant's not flowing because the thermostat's stuck closed. Now you're going to go in less than 3 minutes into a super overheat situation, and that's when expensive parts break inside the engine, and it can damage your automatic transmission as well, because it's relying on the cooling system to cool its lifeblood, which is called transmission oil. So if the transmission oil is running higher temperature than it should, you're then cooking your automatic transmission. So I hope this picture is painting for you what happens when a cooling system is not looked after, because it is not good for the lifetime, whatever that number is, of the vehicle. It's not. And we've got more components to cover yet, but we've covered two of the greatest components in the cooling system, and that is the radiator and the antifreeze. How important it is. That's the life's blood of the cooling system. And now the Temperature Navigator, the thermostat. It slams shut. You're going into a super overheat. And on today's engines with all the aluminum components, I'll tell you this. Aluminum is not forgiving. It is not a metal that gives forgiveness when it's heated. And you can prove that point by taking a piece of Reynolds aluminum wrap and take just a lighter and put heat to it. And at some point, there's a temperature that foil's going to reach, and it melts like butter. And it just continues to melt. And that's why I say, with all today's lighter vehicles, we've got a lot of engine components that are now not made of cast iron anymore. They're made of aluminum, and aluminum gives no forgiveness for being overheated. So that covers the thermostat. How important is it? Well, I got one more nugget on it, and then we'll call it a day here. Just like this 92 Volkswagen Golf Cabriolet, I had to argue to get the thermostat out, but I knew how to approach it. The bolts were seized in the back of the housing of the water pump. That's where this thing is situated. It's not any different on your vehicle. And here's what we ran into in the mid-90s, late 90s. Because of that maintenance-free story that was created, when the time came for us to have to get that thermostat out, and it usually happens around this time of the year, heading in through fall into winter, when thermostats start to really act up. And I can remember this one specific vehicle, the thermostat was slammed shut, this thing overheated. And we're hoping that the engine survived, and I couldn't get any of the bolts out of the thermostat housing to get in there to get it out. They were all seized, and they all snapped off. Yep, trying to get them out. We tried and we tried and we tried. We had the car for days, soaking the bolts, trying to get them out. And at the end of the day, it was, well, one way or another, we got to get in there. If they break off, they break off. It's that simple. But this car's going nowhere till we get the thermostat out, and then we'll just have to deal with the cause and effect. And so now, in a very tight area, of course, that's where these housings with the thermostat are located. You know, the car is, I think that's one of two items that are put in first, and then they build the car around it. And engine bays are so tight, you can't even fit a debit card in there anymore, let alone fingers. So anyways, the bolts broke off, and the customer goes, well, you know, the sales guy said, you know, the thermostat was maintenance free. I said, well, we need to find that guy, and we should have had him over here trying to get the bolts out. That's my point. If we're not in there doing maintenance, and then the time comes we have to do maintenance, can we get the component off? And here's the thing. I'll even mention the long life spark plugs. Oh, they can stay in there for 200,000 K. Yeah? Well, then you try and get them out. They don't want to come out. They're stuck. So how did we end up fixing this car's thermostat problem? We had to pull the cylinder head off and send it to the machine shop to have them line drill it, because the holes you can't miss. If you know what I'm saying, the holes got to be drilled out and rethreaded in the exact same position from the factory. And where the thermostat housing is located, that is not going to happen, friends. We can't get a drill press in there and make sure we're drilling square, because if we're off a little bit, that turns into another problem. We drilled into something we shouldn't drill into. So did you save any money on that? That's my final point. Did you save any money on that maintenance-free item because the salesperson said it was maintenance-free? No, it wasn't. Now you're paying the price. Who's paying for all that labor now to pull the engine apart, send the component out to have it drilled and threaded, and then bring it back, and now we got to reassemble the motor? Did you save any money? Answer is no, definitely not. All that free maintenance that you did have is now you're paying for it. So that's what you got to keep in mind. These talking heads that are saying maintenance free are leading you down a pathway with your piece of machinery called a car to destruction. And do they care? No, because you're going to buy another one. And that's how that works, friends. That's called the circle of life in the automotive world and the car game. That's how this car game got started back in the early 90s. We'll just tell them what they want to hear. Oh, that's a maintenance-free battery. Oh, those are maintenance-free belts. They last the lifetime of the car. And that would be? Is that the time? Yeah, you're not going to get an answer. It's just a selling feature. They've been saying what you want to hear. The itching of ears, they say in the end, the itching of ears. People saying the things you want to hear, but that's not reality. The reality is the cooling system goes down, it'll destroy your car. It'll overheat in less than 3 minutes and catastrophic damage. And at the U-Pull-It yards, that's what I see. These vehicles aren't smashed. Something catastrophic let go, and that's what put them there. None of them are collision jobs at U-Pull-It wrecking yards. These vehicles are in pristine condition, but they're on stands so you can pluck parts off of. How did it get there? Something catastrophic let go. Engine, transmission, and people are going, I'm not putting $6,000 or $13,000 into a transmission. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. You know, the sales guy said it never needed to be serviced. Maintenance free again. Friends, I hope you're getting some takeaways from the podcast. I'm sharing from my heart for you and not trying to scare you or anything, but we have to understand this. We are the navigator of our ship. Whatever it is you're driving. You are the captain. You are the navigator. You're the maintenance guy. And that's why we created our Car Connection Maintenance Schedule package, was to help you to stay the course. Stay the course. You know, and if you are a boater and you're going to be traveling the waterways, you know the rules. You create your navigation sheet and you leave a copy back at the dock you're leaving from with someone who knows the route you're taking, knows where you're going to be on the waterways. Should something happen, there's navigation to follow. Somebody knows where you are, where you were going, how you were going to get there on the waterways. It's the same with aircraft. Navigation. So the thermostat is your navigator. If it fails, your engine overheats and you have a broken vessel. So that's your takeaway for today. Tomorrow we're going to be diving into the water pump. What does it do? How does it work? What does it mean? What does it mean to you and taking care of it? And how do you take care of it? And isn't that maintenance free? No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. So I leave you with that today, my friends. And I hope you enjoy what we do here at Car Connection Workshop and Motormouth's Morning Drive podcast 6 days a week. There's a few ways that you can be part of it. You can support the show at buymeacoffee.com/Motormouth Nile, Nile. You can check out our Motormouth merch. Get your car connection maintenance schedule. Send us an email or simply like, subscribe, share the show with another car enthusiast. You do your part. We'll keep doing ours. And thanks for being part of the Motormouth community. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Hump Day, Wednesday tomorrow, bright and early for another Motormouth morning drive at 8 a.m. So happy, healthy motoring, peace, patience, and kindness always. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.